Queens ABC, y'all, welcome back for review number 3. I hope everybody's been enjoying the season, and I hope everybody's been enjoying my reviews. And if you are not, I still appreciate you anyway because you clicked and you tuned in, even if it was a mistake. Anyways, getting right into it. This is episode 3 of season 1, and it was called "Who You Calling a Bitch," reference to the iconic Queen Latifah song "Unity," UNITY. That's the Unity. Getting right into it, the episode starts off with the group getting a very bad review about a performance. Valeria steps into a hole on the stage, falls on top of Naomi. Bree's backstage tending to her kids, trying to get them to sleep. So they had like a 7-minute intermission, and then Jill forgets her lyrics on stage. Given that 3 of the 4 women are actually performers in real life, and now all of them are in their late 30s and early 40s, I wonder what it is like for them on stage. Is this, similar to their lives? And I wonder how many women in the game really do live like this, who are over 30, who do have families, who do have kids, and, have to go on tour and get that bag. I think it really, shows the light of, or shines a light on what it's like for a woman who is over 40 or who is over 35 and that has a family at home, but still has to hit the stage and tend to fans. And, those women that have residencies, we've seen Celine Dion have residencies. We've seen Toni Braxton still tour, have residencies and all that stuff. And, Beyonce, of course, goes on tour, all that stuff. So I wonder what it is like, or if this is in any way similar to what these women really go through and still have to deal with the pressures of sexism and people being disrespectful because they do have children and all that stuff. But getting right into it, and I also wonder how it feels today for Notori from 3LW to be portraying a group, if it's any familiar territory for her, because she hasn't been in a group in years. She left 3LW or left 3LW years ago. I want to say almost 20 years ago. She left, 2002, 2003, she was out of there. So it's been like 18, 17 years since she's been out of that group. So wonder how it feels. Anyway, to get around and to get through the bad review, because they can't be booked anywhere, Valeria comes up with the idea of new music, and Naomi agrees. This is the first time and maybe the only time that we'll see these women agree on anything, because we know deep down they have a love-hate relationship, and it's more hate than it is love. They can't stand each other. Naomi feels that Valeria took something from her, and Valeria kind of did, but at the same time, Valeria didn't really take it because it was also given and offered and supplied to her. So, and it also shows too how a group of women who are a group of women of color face an unfair sexism when making a comeback, or how people don't see it for them when they come back in the game. We've seen all the girl groups come back and kind of face that, or all the girl groups who still put out albums today and still tour, we see them face kind of an unnecessary, backlash. And Vogue has been in the game 30 plus years and is still shutting it down. SWV is the same way. TLC is still out there on tour, still performing like they're 18. So, I think they really face an unfair advantage at times. But at the end of the day, they shouldn't stop going. So, in that spirit, the Nasty Bees continue to go. And they say, we got to get into the studio and make new music. Eric begins playing them new music because he's their A&R, their manager, their producer. So he begins playing different beats. He plays a track that was supposed to be on Muffin's album. Muffin is not in this episode. And it kind of works at the end of the day because the group is, the show. So we can't see Muffin every episode. So I'm okay with that. The track was too hardcore for Muffin's album. Muffin is more pop rap, and the Queen, the Nasty Bees are more, edgy, more urban, more hardcore hip hop. So the track was more befitting for them. And every member doesn't agree on the new sound or the way that the group should sound going forward. They want to change the narrative, they want to change the name, they want to change the game all over again. But Bree and Jill kind of feel something different about it. Valeria's, kind of on board, but at the same time, it's like, well, we were called that in 1999. Naomi's the one going hard, like, yo, we're keeping the name. And as you all know, Naomi is the founder of the group, is kind of the lead, even though Valeria was the face. And Valeria, lets it be known at the end of the day, this was an iconic situation. NWA was iconic with their name, and we were iconic with our name. And getting right down to it, Naomi lets it be known, I'm the writer. I wrote everything. Yeah, Jill, you can write. Bree, you can write. I wrote everything for Valeria. Valeria's like, that doesn't mean that I can't. And, Valeria's like, the face of the group, even though Naomi wrote everything. So Naomi at the end of the day is like, I hold all the cards. I hold the pen. That means I hold the cards. And they decide to go to a versus with it, a cipher. But at the end of the day, like a member versus. And then Bree's like, listen, if you win, we do it your way. If I win, we do it our way. We all find our own verses. We all write our own stuff. And then we bring it to the table and make our own hits together as a group the way it's supposed to be. And the cipher goes the way that it goes. They both are really, really talented. Now, this is the part that the real hip hop kind of jumped out. Eve, at the end of the day, we already know Eve is an assassin. She's one of the most successful female rappers to ever do it. She's one of my top 5 favorite female rappers. And Brandy can also rap. The thing about it is that Brandy, we know her as being a songstress. We know her as being a great songwriter. We know her as being a great vocal arranger. We know her as being a great actress. And she did dabble in a rap career. Her rap career name was Brand New. And I actually love Brand New's music. I love the music that she made with Tim. She had a song called Meet in the Middle on Tim's Shock Value 2 album. And I thought it was a great record. It's still one of my favorite songs by Brandy. And I thought we would get a full Brand New album. We didn't get it, but Brandy can rap. And I like her Brand New side more than I like the explicit lyric side, but she really taps into the explicit lyrics character, even down to the vocal and the tone. She really taps into it. It's real, real raw. It's real edgy, and you would think that Brandy really grew up as, like a female DMX or a female Ja Rule. Anyways, getting back on topic, they go back to back, bar for bar, and they go low blows because at the end of the day, Brandy let it be known this is hip hop. Well, not Brandy. Naomi let it be known this is hip hop. And, Jill was like, remember y'all are friends, we're friends. And Naomi wasn't trying to hear none of that. So it goes in Bree's favor, and they all decide that they're going to go write their own verses. And then this episode, we end up seeing the current update on everybody's life. And it goes from member to member to member to member. And then we end up seeing what happens in the end. And the current update and the current status of their lives kind of gets into how the verses end up turning out. Jill ends up getting an interview with Out Magazine, and the reporter is very flirtatious and is very, very forward and not invasive, but is very direct with Jill. And the reporter ends up inviting Jill out, and they end up getting to know each other better, and Jill ends up meeting some of the reporter's friends because the reporter, turns out, is also LGBT just like Jill is. And I kind of saw where it was headed because the reporter was giving some energy that was like, I like you, I want you, and this is what it is. I could tell from the interview, like, this lady is feeling Jill. And Notori's gorgeous, so I understand that completely. And she ends up giving her the title of the hottest lesbian in the world at the moment, or whatever it was that she gave her. And then when she goes out with her friends, Jill ends up getting to know them. She ends up getting called a baby lesbian or a baby celebrian, or celesbian, whatever the phrase was that they used. And they were giving her some tips and giving her the rules and letting her know what it is, because she's still new to being out in that kind of world. So she's getting to know the other side of the game and her new life, essentially. This reporter ends up inviting Jill out. They end up going to dinner. And the reporter makes up a story. Oh, all the other girls flaked. It's just going to be me and you. My ex has this restaurant. She's the chef. And then Jill lets it be known, only time you want to bring somebody to somewhere your ex is when you're trying to show off somebody new. And the reporter is like, exactly. And the reporter starts getting freaky on the first date, getting a little flirtatious, getting a little frisky. They get a little freaky, sneaky in the restaurant. Jill gets nervous. Didn't seem like she disliked it, and asks for where the bathroom is. And the reporter lady tells her it's down the hall to the left. Jill goes to the right and goes back to her hotel. Her and Tina end up on the phone. And the reporter lady actually shows up because she knew that Jill left the restaurant. So pulled up on her, and I was just like, man, this lady real eager. She's not just thirsty, she's hungry, and she is tenacious and persistent as hell. And let's just say, I guess her efforts actually paid off. And in the hotel, Jill's also trying to write her verse because Jill is a preacher's kid, as she lets it be known in the interview. And it plays into the whole notion of preacher's kids are always the ones that wild out. They always the crazy ones. They're always the freaky ones. And sadly, I kind of have to agree with it a little bit because all the PKs that I know and all the church going kids that I know whose parents are active members in the church, crazy. Wow. That's just who I know. That may not be the case for everybody, but that's how a lot of them get down. Um, we see Valeria and Eric go down memory lane, and you get to know more about Valeria's struggle, her story, why she became the hustler she became. She started out as an orphan, had to fight to get everything that she needed. How it was growing up as a Puerto Rican girl. Should I wear my hair straight? Should I wear my hair curly? Is it the black men that want me? Is it the white boys that love me? How should my life be, or who should I be? And being proud of herself and proud of who she is, and finding a space for her, and how they're not celebrated in LA. And Eric ends up taking her to a restaurant in LA that is a Puerto Rican restaurant. And she also pulls up on Eric and asks him for help writing her verses, because at the end of the day, she doesn't want to prove Naomi right. I can do this on my own. And so in that process, they end up going down memory lane. Do you miss me? Do you miss us? Should we have made it work? Could we have made it work? And we end up finding out. And I think I mentioned this in the previous review, and I definitely tweeted about it. Especially when Naomi took that jab about, not Naomi, Bree took that jab about Valeria not having a family, and Eric and, Valeria both made that face like, really? And it turns out I was right. Valeria was pregnant for Eric at one point. Apparently, she terminated the pregnancy, is what it was alluding to. Do I believe that all the way? Maybe, because this show got a lot of loops and twists and turns, and maybe we'll find out that maybe she didn't give the baby up. Maybe she took a hiatus, and maybe she actually kept the baby, and maybe she put the baby up for adoption. But we end up getting into that. And sidebar too, when we see them have that shooting in the previews and in the last episode, and how it started, and how the first episode ended, or however the case may be, I started thinking to myself, is it Jill's husband that comes and tries to spray them all because he's pissed off about what Jill did and maybe she turned him down? I don't know. I want to think about who the most likely but yet the most unlikely suspect would be, because the most unlikely one is usually the one that's the most likely. Jeff and Bree end up getting called to their daughter's school about the use of the word "be," and Jeff ends up coming to Bree's defense, because basically the principal was trying to make it seem like your daughter only uses this word because of the group that you're in and the things that you've done with your career and your life and in your past. And he defends Bree. Bree's proud of him defending her, and his memory came back. And he's trying to let it be known, I'm sorry, I apologize, I can't even believe I did this, I would never do this to you, I love you, I don't want to hurt you. He ends up taking her to a winery, and the date on the wine that he ends up giving her is their anniversary date and their wedding date when they got married back in 2005. And it actually was a nice moment between the two of them before we end up getting to where the episode goes and where things kind of take a turn. We see Naomi get into her relationship more with her daughter, trying to be there more. Her daughter's trying to get accepted into this music school. And, her daughter still has this wall up, has her guard up, because they don't really know each other like that. At the end of the day, all you do is leave, go. So Naomi was an in and out mom. She was a fast food mom. I'm here, and then I'm not here. Boom, hello, boom, goodbye. On the road with the group, and then trying to find a solo career as well. And then there's the part that JoJo's also frustrated about. Listen, I love you. I want to have a relationship. I want to grow, but I need to know who my mother is. Naomi also helps JoJo tap into a side of herself and tells her, don't water herself down. You're every good as the other kids. You're every bit as just as good as them. You're every bit the talent that they are. Because it's a white music school, majority predominantly white, and even one of the white parents asked Naomi for a drink, and Naomi responds, "Do you want to die?" And I thought it was so wrong of the parent to think that Naomi was not there for her own child, but realistically, that's how things happen sometimes. It still happens a lot. So Naomi's response was hilarious. That was actually one of my favorite parts of the show. JoJo ends up getting into the school. She actually plays, a bunch of hip hop joints. Bodak Yellow was mixed in there. Crush on You was mixed in there. And also she put in Nasty Girl by her mother's group that her mom wrote. And she did that medley. Her mother was ecstatic about it. Gives her all kind of applause. Was asking, y'all not gonna clap for my daughter, when she stood up and clapped and was screaming. And her daughter ended up getting to the school. As we saw in the last episode, Cameron comes to Naomi and says, "I'm her father, aren't I?" Now, I said from the beginning that it was probably Eric who was the father. Truth be told, I don't think Naomi knows who it is, because I feel like when Eric wasn't doing her right, Cam was the rebound, and either or could really be the father. Who else do we end up getting into this episode? Jill. We got into Bree. Um, let's see. Getting to the end of the episode. Um, believe it's Bree who walks into her bedroom with her husband and is trying to figure out how to make it work because the kids love him, he loves the kids, she loves that, she wants to fight for the family, and Jeff is in the room allegedly watching TV, and she wants to go in there and have a conversation. He's sitting there, his eyes are open, and when he wasn't responding, I kind of caught what it was. And she was trying to make it work, and trying to figure out how they could move forward as a family because she was devoted, she loves him, she loves the family, and she's hurt over what he did, but at the same time I want to make it work. And it turns out that as she gets close to Jeff, grabs the remote, feels him, there's no pulse, and Jeff isn't breathing because Jeff is no longer alive. So it seems that he has passed, and that whatever was going on with his cancer and the chemo and the surgery didn't work after all, and he ended up succumbing to the tumor that they removed, and that they thought he was going to come back from, and he didn't make that comeback. So that's the very end of that episode. And also as well, we end up hearing some lyrics that Eric is listening to, and in the middle of him listening to those lyrics, Valeria walks in and goes, "JoJo's yours, that's your daughter," or whatever the case may be. And truth be told, Naomi doesn't know. And it's kind of like we're all trying to figure out, like, wait, did Eric know all these years that was his daughter, or was it a secret that him and Naomi just kept, or was it something that they both just avoided talking about? I hope we get more into that the next episode, as I'm sure we will. And we also figure out that Jill cheated on Tina. So there's also that confession that she has to make. And then we're also going to see Bree deal with the death of her husband, go through the funeral process, and having to break the news to her kids. And what else do we have to deal with the next episode? Of course, Naomi trying to figure out who the father of JoJo is. And I believe JoJo and Eric ended up running into each other somehow with Naomi being there. Sidebar, Eve and Brandy just really refuse to age. They still look like they're 19. Just beautiful, beautiful, just gorgeous. They just refuse to age. And that was pretty much the review, pretty much the episode. I enjoyed it. The one thing I will say is that the dynamic between Eric and Valeria, and I'll end the review after this, their relationship gives me the vibes of early on 1999, 2000s J-Lo and Diddy, circa the Grammys, circa her first album, circa the VMAs when Jenny had the cornrows in. That's the vibe that their relationship gives me, especially when Valeria was talking about her confidence and, I have stage presence, I have star power, but I can't write this and I can't do that, and I'm insecure about this and I'm insecure about that. And Jennifer Lopez is always, even on American Idol or, her documentaries and behind the music, her number one insecurity has been her voice. In this case, Valeria's insecurity is her writing. And, they're both New Yorkers on this show. As we know, Puff and Jenny are both New Yorkers. So it really does give me the vibe of their early days in their relationship, when Puff was working on her music and trying to push her as an artist, and, had her with the best of the best writers and producers, and, helped Jennifer Lopez become really one of the top artists in the game, and really had her with number one records out here. And that's the same thing that it seems that Eric did for Valeria within the group. And he was the push that helped her get started. And that's what their dynamic kind of gives me. It really gives me those vibes. Like, at the end of the day, I was your lover, but I was also the person that put the battery in your back with music, and helped you get started and helped you become a hit. And if we look at it, that's exactly what Diddy did with, J-Lo. Her first two albums, he's on there, and has some credits and really helped her nab some big records and put together some real big hits. Anyways, what did y'all think of this episode? What do you think of this? What did you think of this episode? What do you think of the next episode and what we're going to see as far as Bree and her husband, as far as Naomi, as far as Jill, and as far as Valeria finding out that JoJo could potentially be Eric's while she terminated the pregnancy, by Eric, and, Eric having two members in the group pregnant for him. Also, who do you think JoJo's father is? Do you think it's Cam, or do you think it's Eric? And also, too, what do you think of the show so far? We're on episode 3. How do you like where it's headed? Do you like the direction of the show, or is it just not for you? Anyways, don't forget to like, rate, comment, subscribe. It's completely and totally free. Thank you, YouTube, all the people that follow, subscribe, watch it. And even if you don't, like I said, even if you click it by accident, thank you for the little bit of YouTube entourage that I do have. I appreciate everybody that watches. And I will see y'all for the next review.